when I went in college and going to film classes and so forth, I noticed early on there was a lot of this. If you can see me visually, it's
he's talking with his hand,
flapping.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that, and not that much of this. And I decided early on I was there to make films, and so I was always trying to get another one made.
Welcome to the Red, Green, Blue Podcast.
Anyway, we got T.C. Christensen here, and he is an amazing director and director of photography and a filmmaker. He does all aspects, and the amazing thing about him is he gets movies done. He gets them released, he makes them profitably, and he does it over and over again. And again, that just like nobody can do that. You'll meet people who like do one movie and never do another movie again, but to do it over and over. And you'll meet a lot of people who talk about making a movie forever and then never make a movie.
Well, Mark, you're nice to say that's the amazing thing about me, but you obviously don't know about my potato chip eating skills.
Oh,
now that's amazing.
No, that
I'd
is
thrill you with that.
I bet. I mean, then that comes from your Idaho background. You're from Idaho originally or something.
No,
you're not.
No.
Okay.
Utah.
Layton, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Do they grow potatoes in northern Utah?
Well, they eat them.
They eat them.
I eat them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. Potatoes are delicious. And we have a proud potato heritage in this state. But so anyway, first thing I wanted to talk about with you is you've been director of photography or cinematography in a lot of movies. So you came up through that track. Right?
Yeah, that was really my career.
Yeah.
Was a director of photography. I'd direct some commercials and had a couple of little chances at feature films, but I was really a director of photography. That's how I made my living and got it in through this crazy business, was that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, oh yeah. Well, I mean, and that's a good path. I mean, you see that with directors because the camera crew, if you're ever on a film set, is at the center of all action.
Oh, I learned so much.
Yeah.
Just what you're saying. I'm right there with the director.
Mm-hmm.
I notice all the time, if I ever get to be a director, what that guy just did was brilliant.
Yeah.
Put that in my bag of tricks. Or I think, that was dumb. I'm never going to do that if I get the chance.
No, honestly, when I've worked on movies, and it's easier to have a perspective on bad moves and good moves when you're kind of on the camera crew or even the boom op or something like that, rather than if you're the guy.
Yeah.
Because like if you're directing, it's hard to have the perspective like, well, that was a really dumb thing I just did.
Wow.
So in a way, it's good to watch, I mean, take a boom op job on any film you can for 5 films and you'll learn a ton about it with different directors.
Well, I learned a ton that way. And that was a great training ground. I really wasn't until I was about, I think 55 or 6 or somewhere up in there when I actually started now funding and making my own films.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had all that time to learn.
So that's in a way, that's like kind of an entrepreneurial leap, right? I mean, what made you want to make that shift?
Well, like most people in film, I just always wanted to make films. I wanted to make my own films, and I got to where I'm about, 56 or something, and I'd start looking around and going, I'm helping everybody else make their film, which is fun. I don't have any problem with that at all. But at some point, I got stories I want to tell.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's kind of now or never. Let's get going or not do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not getting any younger.
Mm.
Like every day I'm in the gym, I see these stupid 20-year-olds, so young, so good at lifting weights. I think, boy, I wish I was them. But I was like, well, I'm never going to be any younger. So this is as good as it gets. So let's enjoy it.
Well, I see what you're talking to me. You're thinking about 20-year-olds in the gym because you see, I never want to become looking like that.
No.
I get the thread there, Mark.
No, that's not the thread. The thing is, I mean, it was just when you're young, you just take things like that for granted. Like you like all the time in the world. And you just see them wasting their days away. And you're like, look, guy, this is like great. You're like living. You like life is going on. Seize the day kind of stuff.
That's it.
Youth. Yeah. So, well, that's great. So what was the first movie you directed?
Well, I actually had directed some films, when I was the director of photography as a career guy.
Yeah.
But the first one that I put together, our company, this is a new idea, we're going to try this, was it's called 17 Miracles, and we shot that in 2010.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that movie. It's a good movie.
Well, it was a success, and that's what happens if you pay back your investors and have some critical acclaim. Then you're able to move on and do another one.
And it's easier the second time because I think one thing, like, people, they get a budget for a movie and they're so excited to spend that money that they kind of are just a little loose with the purse strings, and they don't realize, like, no, you have to make this back. And like some people are going to be mad at you if you don't. And so, but I think a big part of being a director is the ability to say no. Because you just can't say yes to everything. You got like people asking stuff of you all the time. And so have you learned how to say no? Like, what was how I did?
Yeah, I learned as a director of photography because I work on the biggest budget films ever. I'm not working on $100 million films.
Yeah.
I worked on some big films, but there's always, this is a way of film, is that the director always wants to do more than you really can afford.
Yeah.
And you have to be smart about your choices.
Yeah.
And what you say okay to. And if you overspend, you're going to have people that aren't going to want to be on your ship the next time you want to sail.
Yeah.
So I really try to balance that out.
No, that's good. And it shows you're a good captain. Same thing with, like not being overly exploitative of the crew and stuff and being straight up. In fact, I was thinking, like, next movie I do, which will be an ultra low budget movie, because that's what I want to make. I am going to have a thing that says, like, I understand this is a low budget movie. This is not like Hollywood film. And we're just going to have these conditions and outline, like, food's going to be from Costco and so on, and have people sign it. Just so, like, we're fully clear on, like, this is a low budget film. Because nothing I hate more than on a set when people are like, oh, well, when I worked on this, we had this. I'm like, yeah, but that was like, they had like a huge budget. This is like a low budget independent film. It's just a different game, But so you made 17 Miracles, and that led to be able to make the next one, the next one.
And now I think we're up to 9. I think we've done, and every one of them so far has had enough critical success that people aren't embarrassed they're involved with me in the film.
Oh no!
And they've all had financial payback. So the people who support me, they like the project, they like where it goes and how much it gets out, and so they're willing to help me again. And to me, that, especially at this stage, that's what it's all about for me. I'm just happy that I can make another movie.
No,
that's
fun.
what I want to do. Yeah.
Because it's a joy, and it's a joy to make a movie, right? So one thing we were talking about a little bit off camera is, again, it's funny because, like, I come from visual art track, where in a visual art class, you have to have a piece of work to show the next Wednesday every week. And sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. But you take a class, you will have 8 pieces done. That's kind of the way it works. And it's always kind of amazed me in film, like, how rarely people actually make films. And so what do you think, like, how do you get out of talking into, I'm going to make it?
Well, you start early, for one thing. When I was in college and going to film classes and so forth, I noticed early on there was a lot of this. If you can see me visually, it's
he's talking with his hand,
flapping.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that, and not that much of this. And I decided early on I was there to make films, and so I was always trying to get another one made.
Yeah,
and that gave me just an attitude of be a doer. Don't be just a talker about all of this. And most of the ones that were talking and were very critical, I found as students, about other people's films and even big feature films. Oh, I saw that. It was so bad. And blah, blah, blah. And they put down any film around them. And those are the same ones that never actually did it.
Yeah.
And you know why I think that it is it's one of the things it's hard to do in film is, you start and there's all this enthusiasm, and then you start shooting and things get worse, and it becomes. Woody Allen had this famous saying that every morning he shows up on the set, and then up starts pulling all these trucks that start unloading his compromises.
Yeah.
And it's just downhill, click, click, click. Because you can imagine a lot of things that it's just not practical to get in a film. And what happens, I think, is people might start a film and they get into editing and realize, if I show this, people are going to know I'm not that good. I didn't really do that good. And
Editing, you have to confront your all mistakes.
Yeah, because they all come together. And so there were a lot of projects that got started that I saw that never got finished.
Yeah.
Because if you finish it, you're saying to the world, here's me. I'm naked.
Yeah.
This is the best I could do, and I know it's not very good. So sorry. Well,
it's not what they saw in their head anyway.
No. And so it's difficult to have the the gumption, the self-control that you make yourself finish actually a film and move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, my view on it, and this is a sports metaphor, which is appropriate for your new movie, but it's like, I view it like you're a football player running down the field and you're being hit by guys or problems. But your job is to get to the end zone. And this applies to any project I'm working on, is that you're going to take your hits. But the important thing is that you keep moving, because if you don't finish, everything was a waste. Like that's like stopping moving, especially you go through all the trouble of shooting a movie, you budget it. And if you don't finish it, you just wasted all that time and money. So.
Well, some people I've seen too have come back from that, but I think overall it's all just, you got to count it as experience and just do better the next time. And hopefully you can. If you're out raising money and taking people's money, you have a big flop, it's way harder the next time to do it again, because the money, people who have money are typically smart, especially about money. And they'll say, well, what did you do? What have you done to get to this point? Well, I made this one film. Well, how did it do? It flopped. It made no money. Well, what do you think they're going to go? Yeah, here's the guy I want to work with. They're smart, and it's very difficult to talk financiers into helping you make a film.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they know how risky it is, quite frankly.
It's bad investment.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, well, I can make this on a mutual fund and it won't necessarily disappear.
Well, and the truth is, it's not just even independent films. I read a thing the other day that the major studios, they only make money on 20% of their movies.
Oh, yeah.
But that's big money. When the money they make on those 20%, it can cover all those losses. When you're an independent, and this is kind of your deal, is one film to the next, that it doesn't work as well.
It's hard. All your eggs are in one basket. You see that. So, I think, finishing the project, I guess I'm thinking mainly short films, like feature films. Yeah, post is a bear. No, everybody underestimates how much post work is. My view on movies, and you can tell me your opinion because you've done a lot of movies, is it's like everybody thinks like kind of the myth of filmmaking is that it's like 10% pre-production, 80% shoot, and then 10% post. But the truth is, it's kind of like 60% pre, 20% shoot, and then another 60%. I know I just went over 100% in post. Like
you got
post,
a calculator.
I know. I divided it up wrong. But it's like post is so big.
Yeah.
It's such. It depends on what movie you're doing, in part, what type of movie, but it's huge, and it's always the most underestimated.
And it is an area that will make or break.
Yeah.
And if you don't put the time into it and have skilled people helping you in that area. Let me plug my son, Tanner, who's been my editor he's been out of school and professional for about 20 years. And he has become just essential to me. He's such a good editor. And here's a way I want to tell you that he exceeds that I don't think most people think about. He is very good at crafting a performance where he can take all this film and find, even with an actor that has not really done that well in front of the camera, and find the little pieces and the things to cut away to bridge the gaps and all to create, hey, that guy was pretty good in your film, where the truth is what I brought to him was not.
Oh, great. So he edited this most recent film, the Alma Richards film. That's good. Yeah, no, to me, like I learned so much about editing by editing a feature-length documentary because like you don't have as much control over the footage and you still have to craft a story out of it. In a way, you're writing and composing while you're editing. And to me, that's a cheaper way to learn how to edit. But yeah, no, editing is huge. You want a good editor. But it's so funny to me, like directors of photography, screenwriters, and editors are never famous, but they're really the backbone of the whole medium. So, well, what drew you to this story about Alma Richards?
It's the same thing that draws me really to any good, what I consider a good story, is you have to have a protagonist who has a goal. Yeah. And it's a worthy goal. It's not, like my goal would be to eat more potato chips. Well, that's a great goal for me, but it has to be a worthy goal that makes a difference in his life or her life or in society. And then there are all of these obstacles that come, and at the end, the protagonist overcomes them. I mean, that's storytelling. That's just basic storytelling. But you start picking apart a lot of the films you maybe have seen in the last 20 years. There's a lot of films that don't really adhere to that as much. And there's a lot of very expensive films. I'll bet you've come out of the theater just like me when you go, who thought that was going to be good? It's not a good story.
Oh, yes.
I think choosing your story is the most important part of this whole kind of
the whole medium.
Assignment.
Yeah.
If you don't choose a strong story that has interest and entertainment value, you're going to be struggling the whole time. If you choose a good story, people will forgive bad lighting. They will forgive some bad acting. They're not looking for, they don't want us to go and see a film with that. But if you've got a strong story, you can grab people by the nose and pull them through. And that's how I've seen a lot of young filmmakers really break through and get into it. It's not because they did the greatest production, but they somehow were able to capture a story that enthralled people and people wanted to see it.
It's true. And that's also the most affordable thing you can do. Like, you hear a lot of people talk like, oh, if only I could cast this, or only if I could have this effect, or if only I could have this situation. Like, I don't know, a 3-story action sequence in a building crumbling. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, you need a solid story. That needs to be the backbone. And
so Alma Richards,
which is a solid story. You can tell the story.
It is the story. It's a solid story. It's actually, the title is Raising the Bar, the Alma Richards Story. Tells about a young man, 1910, from a teeny town in southern Utah called Parowan. And he's big. And he goes to school in high school one day, and there's a new sport there called track. And the new track coach sees him and says, hey, you're big. Why don't you come out for track? Alma doesn't even know what he's talking about. It wasn't part of the, this is some new thing. He does go out, and 2 years later finds himself on the grandest stage of the athletic world, the Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden, and wins a gold medal.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And he's doing things unconventionally. He's a high jumper. They try to teach him a better way to do it, and he's used to the way he jumped the fences on the farm.
So that's how he learned. You jump in the fences.
Yeah, just jump. Oh, you got to get from here to there. Just jump over it. And he did it. He developed his own weird style, which isn't aerodynamic and all those, using your muscles properly. But that's what he did. And he stuck to it, did the best he can. He not only took home a gold medal. He set a new Olympic high jump record and went on to jump in his career 6'5". Now, this is before the Fosbury flop, and that was revolutionized in high jump was in the 60s.
Yeah, that's where they like lead with their head and they kind of arch their back over.
Back, and then
this they'd actually leap. Like you see it on Chariots of Fire if you watch that. Yeah.
And at that time, there were no pits. You had to land on your feet. If you did the Fosbury flop in 1912, you break your neck.
Yeah, you get concussion. Would. Yeah, you'd be finished.
Yeah. and so they'd have this different, more archaic form of jumping, and Alma could do that better than anybody else. And you go out and put up a bar 6'4", 6'5", and imagine, that you've got to somehow just run at it and jump
over it, like have your bottom clear it. Yeah.
Incredible. He was really an amazing athlete.
No, it's true. And I mean, especially you think, days before the internet, some people may remember that, but this is like before jet aircraft. This is before, this is way, 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 like radio was like a new thing during this time, right? There's a predating radio a bit.
And here's my second kicker. You asked me why I did it. I was raised in Layton, had a whole bunch of my folks had a whole bunch of kids, 10 of us, and our grandma lived with us. My grandma was raised in Parowan and told us all about Alma Richards.
Oh, she probably knew him then.
He was her brother.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. So Alma was my great uncle.
Well, that is a phenomenal story.
Well, and I don't.
That's fantastic.
And I don't tell that and tell you that. Well, it's a family story, so that's why I did it. I would have done it anyway. It's a good story.
No, it's just a great story. Honestly, this is something I was talking to TC before the show. I actually, in a very minor way, I'm not saying I put a whole lot of work into it, but I kind of had an outline. I thought someone should make this a movie. Like I was like, I knew the story. My family's really in track. I have a cousin who's like in the BYU Sports Hall of Fame and so on. But I was like, someone's got to make this movie. And I was so happy when I heard TC Christensen was doing it, because then I was like, wow, I don't have to do it, but it's going to exist. And I just felt like I was kind of surprised that like BYU as an institution or something hadn't made this movie before.
Well, Mark, I have to tell you, you haven't seen the film. When you see it, you might think, well, I still better make it because he missed the mark.
No. I think you've got good aesthetic sense. I have every confidence. A great movie. In fact, that's one of the things. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about. To me, an amazing thing with all your films is the production value you get. I think it's through your strength as a cinematographer in a large, that you really compose a good shot. It always feels like a expansive, beautiful film. And I just love how you do that.
Well, that's a lovely compliment, and I'll take it. That is a great compliment. I think I do have a leg up because of being a DP for so many years.
Yeah.
And I have this attitude too, whether, I'm this low budget film, independent films we're talking about that I do now. But when it all comes down to it as a cameraman, it's really about lighting and composition. And you can do that on low budgets.
No,
you
true.
can have really good lighting. You own some lights, Mark. I've used them.
Yeah.
And I know
how small your rental package is too, actually, directly. So they're very low budget. Honestly, I'm sorry, he uses lights more efficiently than I've ever seen anybody else use of all my clients. That's tremendous.
Well, and I can tell you part of that, it's not just saving money, but it is, I have a style I love, which is kind of a simple single source kind of a thing. And I don't need a lot of lights, and I don't need a lot of big lights.
And you get a lot of the look you want out of that package.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like some people, it's like if they don't have like a 510 truck and another truck full of lights, it's like they can't light anything.
Well, I've had huge.
Oh no, yeah, you've worked on stuff big like that, but you found can also work small.
I think one of the things I learned as a director of photography is that's great if people notice your work and they think you're good, But you know what's just as important in making it a living is you have to be fast.
Yeah.
And more lights equal more people and time and power and, you know, just all that stuff.
You have to manage people who are managing the people. And yeah.
And I tried to, because I've worked on a lot of films that are really strained at the budget, and I tried to figure out how to do good work fast.
Yeah. No. And that's what you need to do. In fact, just getting your shots in on schedule. So how many weeks did you shoot for this Alma Richards movie?
Well, it was, let's see, in weeks, probably 5 weeks. We shot for 20 days, and then that was all local here. And then we went to Long Beach because we filmed on the Queen Mary for a day, which is that's how Alma would have gotten from New York to
Stockholm.
Stockholm is an ocean liner. And so that worked terrific. They have that ship there that's actually just kind of sitting there, hasn't been being used or as a tourist.
And did you have a hard time getting on this ship? Or
well, it was during COVID.
Oh, okay.
So yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was hard. We had to do the protocols and whatever, and but we were coming out of COVID, made that all work. But for an independent film, so let's say it's 21 days.
Yeah,
that's actually a pretty good schedule because most everybody now is trying to do it in 14 days or 12 days. I'm sure you've seen your share of that. And I do have a certain level that I'm not willing to go under. You know, for me to do one of my films in 12 days, you would not be giving me a compliment that you feel like it feels like a more expensive film. You wouldn't, because it's too fast. For me, it is. Yeah. And I wouldn't enjoy it.
Well, that's another big part of it. Yeah. You got to, like, if you're going to make a living doing this and do this in your life, you can't be killing yourself every movie. And,
you know, we'll do on some of our big days, 40 setups, one camera.
Yeah.
Mostly shoot with one camera. We do 40 setups. If you're doing 12, you know, you're probably going to have to do 50, or you're missing a lot of coverage that you're really going to need later in the film. So that's kind of an area that I feel comfortable in. It's about 21 days.
21 days. Well, that's good amount of time. And it's also, I mean, this is significant. You're doing primarily historical dramas.
They have been, yeah.
So that's harder to even do on it. Like, how do you, keeping the look and feel of a time period is incredibly difficult and expensive.
Yes, that does make it harder.
And you can't go to Walmart for costuming.
No, there's all of that,
and then return everything.
So but it's. I lost my
train of thought. Sorry. Oh, so historical drama. You're working within a budget. How do you pull that off?
Well, I look at a lot of research photos of the period and try to think, what can we do? And a lot of it comes in the writing. And see, I got to confess to you too, I'm the writer.
You're the writer too. No. And so you know how much things cost too while you're writing it. And you're like, if you say, oh, we need a horse, you're like, I got to get the money for a horse.
I got to go horse. But it's embarrassing to tell you, it's not that I think I can do all these jobs so great.
Yeah.
But it's a way that I can do it and do it myself so that I don't have to pay another person. And it's just part of being, you know, sleek and lean and mean and all that kind of stuff. But as a writer, my point is, I try to think, well, what locations are there that I know of, and how could we use them to our advantage? I don't just write things and have no idea how we're going to be able to film them.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes time to make my shot list and all that, I've pretty much thought through all of that and know that we can do it in the amount of time and do it with a decent look.
Okay. So it's combination of writing for the budget you can do and your location knowledge, because that's something you do get is a lot of great locations in your films, and that makes your job easier as a cinematographer, doesn't it? A
location is very important.
Yeah.
And having the ability to spend the right amount of time, this is with an AD, as we're breaking down the shooting schedule, so that you have a good schedule. And I've been on quite a few films where you'll shoot one day and like they're done at 4:00 and everybody's, woo, this is going to be great. And then the next day's, 14 hours, and the next day's 15 hours. To have a schedule where you can really get done what you need to get done, but not waste time and not go into overtime, that's a tough thing. It takes some good work with an assistant director.
Oh, assistant director. So do you view your assistant director as one of the most key people on your set?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They really, they keep us going, make us advance us is the main thing. Because I know what I'm doing right now. I'm doing this. Yeah. But that guy or lady has to be thinking, what's next? And is that actor ready? And is that is the set dressed? And those things that I don't want to think about while we're shooting.
Yeah, no, to me, the greatest parallel, like I've left family in the military, that like your assistant director is your NCO. He's your sergeant, he's like, and you're like the lieutenant, but like you need them so bad. Like, especially if you're, even a small crew, even like 15 people, it's just really a management job. And if you're focusing on like talking to the actors and stuff, you don't have time to make sure everything's going to be ready for the next one. And if it's not ready, then also they can yell at people and you could be the nice guy. That actually is another.
Love that. But movie making there's so many moving parts and it's really complicated.
Yeah.
But if you can find ways to simplify it, and an AD is very big part of that. Simplify it, get it down to, because when at its heart, movies are one shot at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And our we'll usually do about 1,000 shots.
Oh my goodness.
Movie.
Yeah.
And this new film, the high jump film, guess what I did that was dumb, and it's against everything I've been telling you, was I got to have a stadium for the Olympics in 1912.
Coincidentally, when I was outlining my movie, that's the thing I couldn't figure out to get to work in a budget. That's what really killed it for me. I was like, what do I do? Rent the Stockholm Stadium? How do you fill it? I guess you could CGI it. It was like more money than the rest of the film put together.
It was just.
So how did you solve that problem?
It's too big of a problem for a low budget independent film.
So
but I did it anyway.
You found a way to eliminate it.
Well, no,
like that end scene in Chariots of Fire. That's an expensive scene.
Yes,
like I even looked at that scene. It's like, how in the world do you replicate it? I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
The way that I decided to do it is I thought with 50 CG, computer generated shots, with if I can do 50, because they're expensive to do.
Yeah.
They're multi-$1,000s per shot.
Yeah.
But if I can do 50 of them, I can pull it off. Well, we get shooting, and I get thinking what to do, and I always try to shoot more than we need, because that's, you want to help your editor and help yourself later. We ended up in the cut, we had 400 CG shots. I went from 50 to 400. Now, how's that for a prepared director?
That's your post. That's you get into post and you're like, oh my goodness.
So what happened, the film, it worked, because we'd shot blue screen and green screen.
Yeah.
Actors in front of that, having to replace those backgrounds in a composite with a stadium and, spectators, audience too. And it worked. So I just bit the bullet and said, you know what, we're going to go over budget on this film. And the time length is going to be ridiculous, because I can't hire, like normally on a big film, you'd hire 3 or 4 or 6 CG different companies and divide it up and then all be working on it at once. I can't do that. I have one guy and he's brilliant. And this guy is a Utah guy, Devin Beacons, and he just helped me immeasurably. But I told him I won't put time pressure on you. What do you need? A year? You can have a year to do it. And he took the year and did the 400 shots at a very reasonable price. And then we were able to, because I knew we were going to take that long, I was sick of sitting around with COVID.
Yeah.
That was 2 years of a bunch of for me. I did not like that.
No.
And I wasn't willing to go out. Some of my friends continued to make movies, and they're always at risk. In fact, I worked on a few of them. as a DP. And they're at risk if the bug gets into the crew or the cast. Oh, they shut you down.
Oh,
There's
geez.
all these things, and you've got all these expenses, and now you're behind. I didn't want to do that.
It's a big risk.
Now I have a year. I'm waiting just for these effects. So I had another movie in the hat, which was Escape from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So we ran out and shot that film and posted it and kicked it out the door and, got it in theaters and so forth. And now we've come back to the film we did before, Raising the Bar.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. When I saw that Escape from Germany came out, I thought you'd given up on the Alma movie. Because I remember we supplied the gear and then there was a gap. It's like, I came with another one. I wonder if that just fell apart, if that movie didn't work. But here we are.
That's what happened. And it's all working out terrifically.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm excited for it. And Escape from Germany was a big hit. I remember a lot of people talked about it. And I when I was in the theaters, lots of people there.
It did good. I was concerned that, especially, my audience tends to be older.
Yeah.
And they had totally quit going to the movies during COVID.
Yeah.
They shut the movies down, the theaters down for the most part. And I didn't know if they'd come back because you get used to whatever that lifestyle. And they did. They talked about it and they came back. And we were in more theaters than any of the other films we've done before and did better theatrically. And now we'll see if they'll do it again on Raising the Bar.
Yeah. Well, one thing I think you've done that's very, very smart, and I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this, is, I think as filmmakers, sometimes we overestimate how much people will think about our movies and think about us, But so when all these movies were coming out, there's this period where there's a lot of local films being made. And I was like, I don't think people realize that these movies are being made by different people. And like, they were expecting this quality of this filmmaker, but then another filmmaker would but it wouldn't be of that quality. And they'd be like, kind of feel burned by the whole field in a way. Yeah. But what you did is you put your name above the title, T.C. Christensen. And so you have like a brand, I feel, that people are like, I will go see a T.C. Christensen film because I've been rewarded so many times in the past. I think that's fantastic you did that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, really, the genesis of that was my corporation that I've had for commercials and whatever for many, many years is called the Visual Transit Authority. And I put that on quite a few of our short films and it never stuck. It's kind of weird. It's kind of dumb. And I got the idea with 17 Miracles. I'm going to make it more personal and make it me. And it seems to have worked better. I think people relate to Disney, Walt Disney. Oh, okay. That has more hook to people than
you got a good name too, T.C. Christensen. It's good. It's a memorable name. T.C. Christensen. I like it. It's like punchy. But actually, I just recently finished Walt Disney's biography. And that is what happened. He was trying to sell a film, and it was like Merry Melodies or something. I can't remember his early film company name. And the distributor pointed to some Lifesaver candies and said, see, you can sell Lifesavers because Lifesavers has a brand. You don't have a brand. And that's Walt Disney left that meeting like, I'm going to put my name on everything. And Walt Disney is going to be the brand. And it worked for him.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I would never compare myself to Walt Disney, but in that sense, that was the idea. Walt Disney did it, and you know what? It's worked for me.
Yeah. No, I think it's wonderful because in a way, I feel you've kept the local filmmaking tradition that was started back then. You've kept it going. Where it's ebbed and flowed and there's people come in, but you've been a consistency.
Yeah. The people have found other ways to make a living in film and so forth. And that's great. But that idea of going out, finding a film you want to tell and making a film and then hopefully moving on to another one, that has gotten pretty thin.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I haven't seen the movie yet. It's coming out in a few weeks, but how did you do the state? Did you CGI a stadium?
Yeah, with Devin's help,
Or do you-
Devin Beacons,
Okay.
we shot all the action on blue screen.
Yeah.
I shot it all exterior because you're pushed in those
Yeah.
situations to do it on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And this is happening exterior, and I don't buy it. I don't like that look.
Yeah.
To me, it's phony.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made sure we just had a park kind of a place, but we're outside. The sound sounds right. The
Mhm.
light from the sun is right. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like you're on a stage. And then Devin is so good at matching the direction of light that I've shot.
Mm-hmm.
He matches that with the background, creates a 3D model. So he has the whole stadium built.
3D, so CGI through full stadium. That's great.
Mhm. And then, okay, so then I talked to him and we say, this is over here. And this was, this is where the high jump pit is. This is where the broad jump pit is. Oh, okay. And so he figures all that out and it lays it out. And I'm very excited for people to see what Devin did, because I think they're going to see better work than they've seen in a lot of $20 or $30 million films.
Oh, yeah. Well,
for CG.
And honestly, with CGI's advances, it becomes more and more accessible for independent film. Yeah. But I went to graduate school in Stockholm. I was telling C. Christensen about it. And the stadium still exists. They still have the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a major fixture in the Stockholm city life. They have a lot of concerts, and it's a big event center.
We looked at photos of that stadium.
Yeah.
And I guess this is snooty to say, but it's really Devin. He's created a stadium that is so much more arty. It has just, it's not just a kind of an oval.
It's an oval brick. It's a very underwhelming stadium. It's very small by today's standards, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it only held 8,000 people.
Yeah, no, it's really a very small stadium.
Well, he's taken it to the next level.
Oh, great!
And you start looking at the background sometime, and it looks like an Ivy League college. Is that kind of the feel?
Okay, yeah,
and so
like the Yale Stadium or something like that.
I haven't seen
Yale Stadium. Okay,
but those buildings and ivy and trees are involved, and it's just rich. I'm very thrilled with Devin's work.
No. Yeah, I mean, there are high school football stadiums that are bigger than the Stockholm Olympic Stadium nowadays, probably. But it's when was the Olympic? It was like 1914 or
1912.
1912. Yeah, it's like right before World War I. And so it's really a significant time. I mean,
let me tell you one thing that helped me do is when I was looking for, is there a practical way to shoot this, meaning an actual stadium? I got the idea about, what about rodeos? We have a lot of rodeos around here.
Yeah.
There probably some still have wooden benches. Maybe we could make a rodeo stadium work. And I started looking around. A big rodeo here in Utah is the Spanish Fork Rodeo.
Yeah.
And so I went down and looked at that stadium. It was too modern. It didn't.
It's got aluminum benches and stuff. Yeah.
And it just, I didn't see how I could possibly make that work. Got in the car to come home and drove about half a mile down the street going toward the freeway. And I passed an old building, and it said in carving in the cement, gymnasium. I thought, what is that? Never heard of it, because we used to have a lot of old gymnasiums that got filmed a lot around here. And you know what happens? They become condos and they get torn down and they're gone. Well, I didn't know where I was going to film my interior gym shots. And I went in the building and said, is there a gym in this building? And the nice lady at Spanish Fork offices said, yeah, this is the city offices. And the upstairs is a gym, was built in like 1931. We never use it. You want to use it? Yeah. I went upstairs and looked at it. That gym we use several times in the film, and it's believable. It looks like I found a 1912's gym. And that happenstance that I am going to look for a stadium, and on the way I actually find something worthwhile, which was that gym. That was a good day.
No, geez. I mean, that's a real find. I mean, again, that's the thing about doing a period film, is that you have to create that look. And to me also, is you have to exclude everything. I mean, it's like keeping that steel transmission tower out of the frame.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, shoot, this would just be good, but it's there.
We do
Yeah.
wire removal and that stuff.
Oh, you do?
Or
So CGI makes it a little bit more doable.
Yes. But also, if you're doing that time period, I think in terms of the light, like it's mostly daylight coming through windows.
Yeah.
They don't have powerful, big incandescent type lights. And so I'm trying to find ways to make it just the lighting feel like it would in 1912.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, again, and that's a skill that you have. I mean, be able to mold the lighting to give the period look.
Yeah.
Even your stuff that takes more like 1830s or so on, you get that look through the lighting and through knowing what to keep out of the frame, which is, but keeping that shot well composed. Well, that's great. Do you have, like other projects in the hopper? I mean, I'm not going to put you on the spot and say, hey, what's your next movie or anything, but do you have things you're working on that, as you release this one?
Yeah, I want to tell you about this as this son of mine that I'm harping on, how good he is. He came to me 2 years ago. He said, hey, Dad, I'm 40 something years old. I need to make my own movie. I said, yeah, let's talk about that. Well, he's loved documentaries, and he had done a Netflix series that Jared Hess directed.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
And he edited that, learned a lot, loved it, loved the style and the documentary. And so we found a documentary subject.
Oh, great.
And just finished that film, too. It's called Standout. And it's this true story. I'll pretty much only make true stories. It's the story of a young man who was born with Crouzon's syndrome, which you've never heard of it.
Is it?
No, but it's very rare. But it gives the face a very odd look. It's kind of like Quasimodo in Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
And this young man was born with that, made fun of, had all kinds of problems and health problems as well. And he overcame it. It's one of those feel-good things. He overcomes it, I think, for two main reasons. He had a terrific mom who just would not let him cry in the corner and said, get out and play with those kids. You're as good as them. You go play with them. And the second thing is he got into wrestling. You ever been around wrestling? Wrestling is tough.
Really tough. Really
it's
hard game.
And it's some other guy trying to crush each other, and you got nobody but you. And Ben Kerr got into wrestling and became an All-American college wrestler.
Oh, amazing.
And it's a very good film, and it's a very good story. And that, I don't know when, but that'll be out sometime this year too.
Well, that's fantastic. Boy, to have two movies coming out 1 year, that's one advantage of spending 3 years on post. On one. Like everyone thinks you're like, oh my goodness, how prolific he is.
No, it's COVID backed us up was what it was. We couldn't do anything, but we were still thinking.
That's great. Yeah. No, that's good. And also, I've just noticed that there's like a real good market for sports documentaries. Like there's a lot of interest.
I want to also make sure you know too, Mark, that the actor who was my lead in Escape from Germany. He's also my lead in Raising the Bar.
Oh, is he?
Paul Wuthridge. He is a find. He is, to play this part in Raising the Bar, I had to find somebody who's an actor, obviously. He's the whole film. I mean, the film has almost no subplots. It's Alma. He's got to carry a whole film. He's got to be an athlete because he's got to jump. And he also does discus and broad jump and sprints. And so he's got to be an athlete. And then he's got to have some charisma. Yeah. And Paul Wuthridge does a great job. Girls loved Paul Wuthridge as the lead.
Oh, I bet. I have to admit, Alma Richards was a stocky The photo they have hanging up with him is maybe not the most flattering photo.
No.
He's not movie star,
No.
but and coincidentally, and that's the thing I found with it. Like when I was gonna, again, I didn't get too involved in this, but I was thinking, like, I'll shoot like a little test thing with a track athlete, and I contacted my cousins who are into track, and was like, hey, do you have any like track high jump people? Physically, they're very different now. They're much leaner than like he's like built.
Yes.
I mean, this guy's built like an ox.
Even at the time, they felt like Alma was built more like a shot putter, which he did do with the weight events. But he high jumpers, thin, lean, can get yourself up over the bar, and he was stocky, but he somehow made it work.
Yeah, well, that's. Yeah, no, he really did. I mean, that's why it's such a miracle. I don't know if this is in your movie, but I read, if I remember this right, the King of Sweden met him and said, you are like the perfect athlete or something like that. It was like a really high praise.
He had a few accolades, the King of Sweden and John Pershing, general. He did a big event in Paris at World War I. They had track meets then for soldiers, which is kind of weird, but that's something they did. Yeah. And like General Pershing.
It was like OS, it's like being an entertainment event. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. He did it. But he was told by the general, you are the greatest athlete in the U.S. Armed Forces, because they had a track meet thing, and he just sailed through. He won the decathlon, he won all these events and so forth. He was really just an amazing athlete.
Yeah, I think track really had a moment then, I think, as and horse racing too, because it really translated to radio well. Like you could call a track meet on the radio and you could know what was going on. Whereas like a football game would be hard to call on the radio. I mean, you can, people do, of course, but track, baseball really translated to radio well. But yeah, no. So one thing I wanted to ask you about that actually leads into my other question is, like, how do you select actors? Because I find people get interacting cinematography track. Acting is a bit of an enigma to them. Whereas people who grow up being actors, of course, that's their thing. So how do you feel like you able to spot good actors? Learn that ability.
Well, my hero in filmmaking is Frank Capra. Most people know him. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. And he came to BYU when I was a student.
Are you serious? Wow.
And he just lit a fire under me, because this was a first person I met he'd won 3 Oscars and had made these amazingly well accepted, famous films. And they were films like I would want to make. Good protagonists and good heart and so forth. And anyway, Frank Capra said 80% of directing is casting.
100% it is, yeah.
And so I really have taken that to heart, and we spend a lot of time looking. Now here comes creeping in, like always, my little low budget side of everything. No, I
think that's the best side,
which is we don't go SAG. We're not signatory to Screen Actors Guild. Well, all of the good actors are in SAG. That's where they go. That's how they make a living. I don't disparage that at all. But I, in this area, have been able to just find people who have been more theater or always wanted to act but hadn't had a chance. I don't know.
Also, you get people who aren't even like actors.
Oh, I've
really
quite a few.
Really?
That have hardly done any. And we run them through the ringer and try to see if that's going to work. And it usually works out. Here's my kind of short answer to that question here is about selecting them. Is I try to write a part that I think they can pull off.
So you kind of write to the actor.
Yes.
So you're aware of a person, and then
yes, very much. And especially kids. I worked on a lot of projects, a lot of commercials where there was a director working with kids, and they'd just be asking them to do things that were so foreign to, I think, that child's nature and his experience, and he just doesn't get it. And so I try to make a lot of especially kids, but all my actors be in an area where they feel comfortable in what I'm asking them to do.
Yeah.
And then they can pull it off and feel good about it.
That's good. You must have a good eye. I mean, to quote Mark Wahlberg, I feel acting is something you can do or you can't. And so to me, like if you're doing it's like if you've watched enough movies and you've just even kind of like just seen acting, like you'll do an audition or whatever, and the people who can do it just stand out so much. It's like it's like a peacock among doves. It's like that big of a difference, but it's super rare. It's a super rare ability. And yeah, so if you clearly have the eye for it, particularly if you're picking people who just didn't even know they had that ability.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of times. And hey,
Yeah.
I've had my failures, and here comes my son again too.
Yeah.
Because I've sometimes had someone in a part that just, and I know I've got a problem when we're shooting, and I'll try, you know what? Don't say that line. We're throwing that line out. Change that line to this. Instead of a line, do it with a look. I mean, I'm trying all these things from my bag of tricks.
Yeah. The cinematography tricks, right? Yeah.
But still, sometimes it comes through, and then a good editor is able to help. They're never going to make them the greatest actor in the world, but they can improve their performance really big time.
Yeah, of course. And that's the magic of film, of course.
I think every actor that stands up there as receives the Oscar should say, I want to thank the editor
for not picking the dumb part.
And they never do.
No, it's
I've
all
never
them.
heard them. Well, they'll thank the director and
Yeah.
but the editor is the unsung hero of that whole thing.
Of the whole medium even. But yeah, no, and honestly, if there's any actors out there in the audience, I think they don't realize, like if actors are late to set or like unruly or whatever, I don't think they realize how much work has gone to the point where you're actually filming an actor. And if you're casting somebody, you don't like that. There's just no room for games. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe they hear big actors doing games, but it's just, no, it's so much work to get to that point where you're actually filming somebody, and just do your part. And again, and also as far as like Frank Capra's comment, I mean, if you have a good actor, it makes the whole shoot go easy. Like they know their lines. Every take is a good take. They're photogenic, whatever. And photogenic isn't necessarily, being Brad Pitt, Humphrey Bogart was photogenic, whatever. Or, there's a lot of ranges. Photogenic is different than beautiful. But again, I think that's something people mix. You can see that when new directors, when they do casting, they'll cast someone who's beautiful, but not photogenic. They're separate, very much so. And so, yeah, picking good people. And if you make the right casting decision, it can make all the difference in your shoot. So, yeah, you really get it because you get good actors, and again, in like local, independent film, that's a common problem. There's a very common problem. You'll see. I mean, even what is it? Who's Spike Lee? He, in one of his first feature-length films, he says it's just a terrible movie. I mean, he'll say this now, and he's like, and it just totally bombed. It's because I cast the wrong lead actor. It's my fault. I cast her, but it was like it just never worked. The whole shoot, it never worked.
Yeah.
So
that's what'll happen.
Yeah. So and again, your movies fill 10x the budget they are.
10x.
Yeah, maybe more. Like they just, again, because you get a good solid story, you get your casting, your cinematography, and you work with it.
Well, that is a lovely compliment.
That is
and Mark, now I'm going to give you a lovely compliment.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
That hat you have is my favorite hat. That Red Finch
quality
cinema hat
it's my
is
subtle
my
marketing.
favorite. And I'm hoping you've got one to give me because I've just ruined what I have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, we'll make another one for you. We'll get another one to you. Maybe I have some in the closet somewhere. I'll have to pull them out. What size is their hat?
Huge. Look
Huge.
at my head.
That's mine. Mine's the biggest. Double XL head. That's what I got, baby. So yeah, the same one. I would give you this one, but it's my one. I need it.
I know.
I need it.
I bet you love it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I got it for that exact reason. It's like, it's got good material, so it's good when it's hot outside, and it's, it wicks away sweat. I was like, this is a hat you can work in.
People thought they were going to tune in and learn about movies. They learned about hats too.
No, true.
So This
Hey.
is a double whammy.
No, I actually have a whole podcast on the importance of hats. I'm not kidding. I'm like,
Yeah.
my assistant's laughing because she listened to it. But like, no, I think hats and shoes are two of the most important directing tools you have. Because if you get like hot and sunburned, like especially in the Southwest here, like sun is going to kill you if you don't keep the sun off your head. And I also like the straw cowboy hat you get at gas stations. Nice, cool hat. You can get them anywhere. You lose your hat, just stop at a gas station, grab a new straw cowboy hat.
I'm listening to that podcast.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. And then shoes. I mean, I don't know. Do you do this? And what new guys, whoever, if they're working with me, I'm like, do you have shoe insoles? They're like, no. I'm like, go get shoe insoles as soon as you can because we're going to be on our feet for 14 hours a day. Big fan of shoes.
Yeah.
What's
insoles?
Insoles. What insole do you use?
I don't
Like
know the name.
Dr. Scholl's or
no, it's I don't know.
Don't know, but you got them. You got
Yeah,
found a brand
yeah,
new fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use one called Superfeed. I just find that one works really good for me. So anyway, directors, coincidentally, if you talk to a real photographer, don't talk to them about camera equipment. That's like a personal thing. It doesn't apply. But they'll have a lot to say about shoes. They really will. I've noticed that with other photographers I've worked with. Anyway, well, it was really wonderful talking to you, TC Christensen. It's a fantastic interview. Everybody, I feel, benefit a lot from this, and I certainly did. So
Thanks for having me, Mark.
thanks,
All fun.
and good luck with your new film. When is it coming out exactly?
It's April 24th, and it will be
In a theaters. It's a theatrical release.
Theatrical release, but it'll start just Intermountain, and then it'll grow. Hopefully, it'll grow quite a bit. But if it doesn't do that well, then whatever. Then we'll go to streaming and so forth.
Go down, go across the release method. Anyway, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that documentary as well. And if you like and subscribe to this podcast, because we've got more great interviews coming. All right. Thanks a lot, TC.